The law is clear. Yet the owner of this facility, the GEO Group, has continued to obstruct our efforts to ensure they are following state law. We have received over 3,500 complaints about the conditions here. It's a staggering number, truly. I'll talk more about those complaints in a moment. In response to those complaints, the State Department of Health has done what a good State Department of Health should do: try to investigate those complaints. They've attempted to enter GEO's private facility to look into these complaints 10 times. Guess what's happened? They've been turned away all 10 times. This is totally unacceptable. I'm sorry, but the GEO Group is not above the law. So we as a state are going to do everything in our power to get our health inspectors into this facility. Our state attorney general, Nick Brown, and his team have filed a motion for a preliminary injunction, seeking a court order to allow our inspectors into the facility. I'll be introducing Nick, the Attorney General, in a moment, but I just want to say I deeply appreciate his leadership and his team, which I know very well, and have a lot of respect for their really wonderful work on so many issues that we all care about, and this is another example of that work. I do want to add that we have a history with this operator, the GEO Group, and them violating the law. Back when I was Attorney General, we brought a case against the GEO Group for its use of detainees for much of the actual work that goes on inside the facility. Their conduct was truly outrageous, paying detainees less than $1 a day to do much of the work inside the facility. The Northwest Immigrant Rights Project, who you'll hear more from in a few minutes, brought its own case to get back pay for detainees. We brought those two cases to trial, and we won. The court ordered, before you applaud, the court ordered GEO Group to pay a total of more than $23 million for those two cases. Unfortunately, instead of following the law and paying what the court ordered, GEO Group has continued to fight that decision. They lost again before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and are now seeking review at the United States Supreme Court. Long story short, we've seen them in court before and we've beaten them before, and I'm confident we'll beat them once again. So I want to review the complaints, and I'm just going to give a high-level snapshot of some of the complaints that we're seeing. More than 990 complaints relate to water, food, and air quality. Detainees have complained that food is contaminated with burned plastic, metal string, splinters, hair, and worms. Detainees report that the food, and I'm quoting now, appears rotten, has been served on dirty trays, and contains bugs. They state the food tastes bad, smells bad, and that they do not receive enough. One complaint reports that, quote, yesterday for dinner they served us raw meat. You can see the blood inside the meat. Many of us in the unit, 54 people, chose to throw it away, but others made the decision to still eat it because they were hungry. Today, around 15 people woke up sick due to the food from last night. On drinking water, one detainee said the following, and I'm quoting now, the water tastes disgusting. It does not taste like normal water you usually drink, which makes sense because all the staff here bring in their own water bottles because they know the water here is not safe to drink. Another 900 complaints are about the lack of attention to medical needs. One individual reported being admitted to the hospital for a medical emergency, but when he was released, GEO staff refused to give him the medication he was prescribed. Instead, they gave him ibuprofen, allowing his condition to get worse. There are more than 650 complaints about unsanitary conditions at the facility. Multiple detainees report they are not able to care for basic personal hygiene needs. They are not allowed to launder their own clothes, but the facility rarely changes or launders clothing. When it does, the clothes come back wet and dirtier than before. One person reported that, quote, a few days ago I asked them to change my boxers, and they brought me ones that were dirty and belonged to somebody else. The socks are also used and smell bad. There are reports that sheets are not washed after someone has been sick with an infectious disease, such as chickenpox or COVID. A detainee with mental health issues had soiled their clothing, but was refused clean clothing by one of the guards. There are reports of black mold in the showers. A recent complaint stated that at one point there were only 2 working bathrooms for approximately 100 people to use. There are more than 100 complaints about assault. Detainees also reported physical and sexual abuse. I could go on, but I think you get a sense of the 3,500 complaints that we've received. Washington State is being blocked from investigating these complaints. Washington State has a right to ensure the health and wellness of people detained within our borders, period, full stop. And we have the legal authority granted by the legislature and affirmed by the courts to inspect private detention centers like this one. I want to be perfectly clear. We will not allow GEO Group's continued obstruction and brazen disregard for state law to go unchallenged. So I want to now introduce our Attorney General, Nick Brown, and once again say how much I appreciate. We're fortunate to be in a state where we have an AG's office as hardworking and committed to upholding the rights of everybody who lives within our state. And I'm just telling you, there's no better AG's office in the country in doing that work. It's a fact. And so with that, Attorney General Nick Brown.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Governor, for the introduction and for really setting the stage for why we are here today. This morning, our office filed a motion in federal court to stop GEO Group and any private detention facility from blocking health and safety inspectors from accessing this facility and facilities across Washington State. We are here on a more basic level. We are here because of the advocacy of all of the people that are here and the organizations that you represent. We are here because enough is enough. Enough is enough. And we are here because, as the governor summarized in our complaint details, people are being harmed in this facility, and inaction is no longer acceptable. State law puts reasonable health and safety standards on many facilities, including private detention facilities, and the state ensures that these facilities are healthy and safe through inspections. That is the measure of accountability that we have as a government. By refusing to let inspectors do their job, the GEO Group is violating the law and sending the message that Washingtonians don't deserve to know what is going on in their facility. As the governor detailed, we have had literally thousands of complaints about unsafe, unsanitary, and inhumane conditions in this facility, and we need to investigate those allegations because these complaints pick the picture of neglect and cruelty. Neglect and cruelty. The food, the water, the air is all unacceptable. The clothing that people here who are being detained, they're wearing is unacceptable. And we've heard at one point this year there are only 2 working bathrooms for 100 people to use in this facility. And other reports say that the GEO Group has stopped people from accessing their prescribed medications. These sorts of allegations and many more are unacceptable and need to be investigated. They need to be investigated because that is what our law requires. That is what the people's representatives have demanded, that they have the ability to inspect private detention facilities at any time. And where there is no secret that the GEO Group hates this law. They have been fighting it for years. But the arguments that they have made in courts have been largely rejected. And the Ninth Circuit has issued a mandate rejecting those arguments. They did that a couple months ago, and now is the time where action is ripe. Washingtonians are entitled to accountability and transparency in private companies that turn detention into profit. And we understand that that urgency is so acute in this moment. But despite the mandate from the court and despite the seriousness of the problem, the GEO Group continues to defy our law by refusing to admit DOH inspectors. In my view, this is not just a legal obligation. It is a moral obligation. Yes. The ability for people to be safe and healthy applies to all of us. It applies to every Washingtonian. It applies to the people that are standing here, and it applies to the people that are detained in our facilities all across Washington State. And we understand that that obligation is real because that is what the law demands. The GEO Group chose to operate this facility in Washington, And the GEO Group makes a lot of money from this facility, and they must follow our law, therefore. It is past time. It is way past time. The time for action is now.